I mean, right from the beginning, never having done anything as kind of fantastical as this, I was keen to try and keep it real, as was Steve Summers. Keep it real. I'd never done comedy, I'd never done this kind of fantastical work. And Steve Summers said to me that Jonathan really was the everyman. Certainly he was very close to Steve Summers himself, and probably to most of us, when confronted with overwhelming odds, your initial reaction is fear and preservation, you know, the flight or fight thing, and Jonathan's is obviously flight. So in a way that was kind of the only starting point, and
it seems to me that throughout the movies that you seem to have a lot of fun with this character. Is that a correct interpretation?
Yeah, I mean, again, that wasn't something I understood from the reading of the script. In fact, in some ways in the first film I was confused as to what my function was within it. Kevin J. O'Connor, who's very funny, and Omid Jalali, and Brendan himself, you know, there's a lot of humour going on there, so it wasn't like I had the comedy role. I think that was something that developed organically, to be honest, you know. If it hadn't gone down that direction, and if it hadn't worked out, then Jonathan wouldn't have been in the second film. It's that simple, and I wouldn't have been in the first film as much as it was, but it was a very organic process, and in spite of the fact that it was a huge, you know, international corporation, multi-million-dollar extravaganza, it was actually incredibly free in terms of being able to develop in that way. So it's probably some of the most creative stuff I've ever done.
Was it a surprise to you then that the Mummy 1 was such a success, and it led to the Mummy 2 and now Mummy 3,
Yeah.
and God knows?
Yeah.
Why do you think it was such a hit with the audience?
I think timing was one thing. I don't think there had been anything like it for 20 years. You know, all of us who grew up on Raiders and Star Wars were now of a you know, there was now generations behind us who had never had that experience firsthand. And I'm sure the studios had tried to do it, but until Steve Summers came through with it, there just really wasn't the ingredients in place or the desire. You know, there's different periods of time require a different reflection, and at the time of the first Mummy film, perhaps there was a time for a generation to go to the movies and just have a lot of fun and just be overwhelmed by spectacle and extravaganza. Just exactly what happens in a movie set right in the middle of something.
Yeah.
You know, it was part of that zeitgeist. People wanted to go to the movies and just have that experience. That whole new generation,
Yeah.
It developed and it worked out. Yeah.
Okay, coming back to you then, you know, has it been a really amazing journey, a personal journey for you to go from a drama student in Glasgow to Hollywood to this kind of blockbuster, big budget feature film?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm working at the right time, you know, like in the 80s after Revolution and Goldcrest crashed and the TV franchises and things, it wasn't a great time to try and be an actor. Early 90s and from then on, the British film industry, what there is of it, you know, has given actors a broader platform in which to work. And, you know, you look at American TV, American films, there's a lot of British actors there, and of course, working in anywhere, China, Russia, South Africa, you know, Arnold Vosloo, internationally, actors will want to broaden their horizons and the experiences they have. So it was a good timing thing, and I got a break. You know, 4 Weddings and a Funeral was a good break, and yeah, the sky's the limit for anybody.
So would you say then, as an actor, that you're now at the top of your game? Because this is
No, I haven't.
What would you say was the top of your game? Yeah.
I don't know, I don't think I've got there yet in some ways, you know. I think when I was younger I sort of perceived of myself and perhaps was perceived of as being a kind of Juve lead, possible leading man, but I never really felt like that in myself. I always felt much more like what we know as a character actor. So in some ways I think I've still to grow into myself, you know. Everything that's happened in the last 20 years and for the 3 years of drama school before that has been learning my craft and having experiences and getting ready for the game.
Okay, sticking to it, because lots of fans are fascinated by the actors and so on, you know, and their craft. what would be the next challenge be? Shakespeare or?
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling. I did some theatre about 3 years ago, and I've done some television since then. And then this has come up, and I constantly like to sort of jump horses, you know, and do different things, and possibly look at doing some theatre next year. Do some classics. I've done a lot of contemporary theatre, a lot of modern theatre, and new writing, and not a lot of classics. I have done a bit of Shakespeare, but I like to do some.
And personally, without getting too personal, you mentioned that you have passionate support for the environment.
Yeah, and I think like once you move beyond the party politics, you know, you realise that the need for more oil and more wood and more houses is linked with the destruction of habitat, and you know, how long before there's no more fish in the sea, and there's no more sharks, and there's no more tigers, and there's no more, you know, you name it, and it's all about some kind of rampant kind of commercialism. It's insane, you know, how many more of these things do we need, and it's not just about doing something in order to preserve tigers or whales or something. You can change what you do just by how you live, you know, in terms of your need for a new pair of trainers, or your need for instance here in China, our need to have cheap toys or clothing. You know, I think we have to be much more responsible within ourselves individually. And that hopefully will gather momentum into a much bigger consciousness and movement towards our care of the forests and the mountains and the environments and the seas and the creatures that we share the planet with. Otherwise, we're going to be here on our own, and it won't be long before all that's left to eat is each other.